What's up, everybody? This is Generation H. We got Carlos, we got Daryl, and we got Dilly. Today, we're going to be talking about appraisals and how to get the best bang for your buck in appraisals, because it's very important in the burr process. If you're still burring, people are still burring. I don't think the burr is dead, like everyone is saying, but it's still possible in some areas. So there is an appraisal process when you're going to refinance. There's also appraisals when you sell. Those don't really matter as, I mean, I guess they do.
They do for the loan, yeah.
They do for the loan.
Yeah. Well, they have been here in the last 2 years because everything's been selling for way up there. So
yeah,
if we would have gotten 3 year ago appraisals, it would have definitely mattered.
But usually the market does the justice for itself when you're getting appraisal for the sale.
Very true.
So people are buying it. The appraisers usually come up to that. Well, not all the time, but
appraisal gaps are still needed.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, so there's plenty of things you could do when you're trying to get a higher appraisal. But we're talking about specifically when you're fixing up the property. So
let's define appraisal first. So
Yeah.
So an appraisal will be an objective view of your property and compare it to other properties that are in the neighborhood, street, within several blocks. And essentially give your house a value compared to those other houses.
Yeah.
And the reason that banks will do that is because they want to make sure that they're lending on an asset for the value that you're asking for. Whether that's for a refi and you're burring it, or whether you're buying it or selling it, right? Because when you buy it or sell it, you put it on the market for $230,000. If the bank comes around and says, hey, it's worth $200, it's not worth $230, then that's the appraisal. Somebody objectively looked at your house, looked at the comparables, and noticed that your house is not worth $230, it's worth $200, and now it's become an issue. So that's why it's so important.
yeah, and it becomes an issue because the bank only lends 75%, or normally it depends what loan you get, but anywhere from 75% to 95%.
For a refinance.
Yeah, for a refinance.
Well, yeah, for a refinance, 75 to 80% of whatever the appraiser says it is, and you don't get to pick the appraisers. In most cases.
Although you're paying for them.
Oh, yeah. You're paying
Yeah.
the money.
Although you're paying for that service to be provided,
Yeah.
you can't pick the appraiser.
It's $600 roughly for a single family too, and it's
And
going
the
up
bank-
every time.
Yeah.
The bank just says, hey, this is your guy.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. From a flipper's perspective, you're not necessarily doing any of that. It's your buyer and your lender of the buyer that's reaching out and then getting an appraiser, and then they're scheduling an appraisal. They're confirming it with you, and then they come out. They send the appraiser comes out, and they start looking at everything. They start checking all the boxes, taking pictures, and before or after, they always start comparing it with other houses. But you as a seller don't have really an opinion on anything. So what we like to do is we like to, if the agent has it for sale, they have a list of like all the amenities that come with the house.
Yeah.
And I personally always like to show up from the selling side.
So a lot of times they don't want you there.
I show up,
Okay.
and I always
So the buyer agent is usually there too with you.
no. So usually
the
they just
selling
there
agent isn't there at all.
at all. Just the
Usually
appraiser goes out.
no one's there except
Just the appraiser goes out.
Okay.
So what I do is I usually have a contractor box and I have a Century Key box.
Yes.
I'm not an agent, but I'll usually go out and get the key from my contractor box, and I'll go in around the time that they're supposed to go in, and I'll be like, hey, we always have issues with these Century box keys. I just wanted to make sure you got in okay, make sure you had access, because sometimes it can get a little finicky. And they'll be like, oh yeah, I got in, because they'll already be in, or they'll be outside. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Well, I was part of the project management team. If you have any questions, like I can answer them for you. And they're usually already somewhat prepared, because they would have already seen whether it was like a pamphlet for the house, or like there'll be a flyer on the table or whatever. And they'll be like, so is this everything that you guys did? Like, well, and I always kind of put it back on the agent. I'm like, well, agents usually just kind of like do the fluffy stuff that people see, but then there's a lot of other things like, and I'll start to mention, and you know it always clicks because they'll pull out their pen and paper and be like, oh, okay, knew this, knew that, and they'll just start making a list. And that, I don't know if it really helps. I think it does, because it ends up like putting additional things on their list of attractions, amenities, improvements that you did to the house that they can now compare it to other houses.
Yeah.
And the reason you meet the appraiser out there, because obviously you're selling the house, but it's so the buyer can get the loan afford to buy the house.
Yeah.
Yes.
Otherwise, they're going to negotiate the price down, most likely.
Correct. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to support the highest possible value that appraiser is going to give my house.
Right.
Yes.
Right. But if they do it totally objectively and they don't know about these
Yeah.
marble on the floor,
Yep.
you know, like these
Right.
type of like small things that, bless you, that
Thank
do really end up adding up, I can be hurt
Yes.
because of the loan later.
Yeah.
And a lot of times they don't go in the crawl space, in the
They
attic, or any of that, so they don't know if you change the plumbing, the electrical,
Yeah,
all
they
the stuff
don't.
that really does matter.
Yeah, it's
For
just the
the
finishes.
Yeah,
It's
just the
fi-
finishes.
Yeah, it's just the finishes
Yep.
that they're looking at. But
And do they add value to it if you do tell them that you updated the electrical?
I don't know if
Updated
they do, but I would assume that they do. Wouldn't it look?
I mean,
a
on
lot
paper
better?
it doesn't.
it doesn't. Yeah, but I will say that they and I haven't seen this to be true because I don't have a specific case, but
Yeah.
I would think that they'd probably help with comparing it with new construction to some degree. Because
Yes.
if everything is new,
Then why wouldn't you?
But
be
still not gonna
mechanical,
use
plumbing,
20.
electrical, whatever, it's not going to be as high.
But they're not going to even put 2021 comparables. Houses built in 2020.
No,
Correct, they're
but
not.
could they say that instead of an A property, it'll be an A plus property, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
even
yeah,
with the
yeah,
comparables, they'd be like, okay, well, this
Right.
superseded
Yeah.
because of. So let's get into that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And it was because they only look at finishes. So when you walk in and you see this room completely put together, you're gonna think a little higher than you would if it's just a wide open empty space. Because
Yeah.
now they're nitpicking and looking at all the little details,
Yeah.
except for coming into your room and saying, "Oh, this is a nice looking living room.
Yeah.
Oh, this is a nice looking bedroom."
Yeah, so I've never actually staged a house, but I can speak from having a tenant move in and them putting their stuff in.
So that is a negative.
Yeah, that's a negative.
Yes.
For the most part, it's a negative unless the tenant's like super clean and super
Yes.
nice and decorates their place really nice. But usually, if there's a tenant, I try and get my appraisers in between the gap where I finish the process and
Same.
before I rent it, finish the rehab and then rent it out, because the appraisers don't really like dealing with the tenants first off, because
Yeah.
tenants might not let them in every room, and I've had problems where the tenants don't want them to go in some rooms, or they're like
Yeah.
talking to them the whole time and being like, "Nah, you don't need to go in there," and like stuff like that. Or they talk crap about the house, which is even
Oh, yeah.
worse. They're like,
Ooh.
this landlord
Fucking
did
heat
this
doesn't
to
work."
did this to the house, and I don't know why he did that, and sometimes it leaks right here, and then
Yes.
That's the worst.
Yeah.
And it matters because if they're junky, like some
Yeah.
tenants when they move in, if they
Yeah.
haven't cleaned
Smells,
everything up,
junky,
smells
yeah,
junky.
pets.
Yeah,
yeah,
that makes a big difference.
pets make it really bad.
Now with tenants, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Yeah. I was just gonna say, so with the tenants, I usually tell them insurance. I don't tell them the appraiser's coming. I tell them insurance is coming
Oh,
to
that's
take
good.
pictures. So I say make the place look really, really clean because they're gonna be looking around and stuff like that. So that kind of helps it a little bit, and they don't talk crap about the house because they know it's insurance. And
Yes.
Yeah.
And I've even paid for them to clean the house.
Yeah,
I've
you can
paid
do
a
that
cleaner
too.
to come in and clean the house
Yeah.
the day of or the day before, just to like, look, I'll do a complimentary cleaning on your house.
yeah,
Pay $150, have it completely clean.
Now, for stuff that we bought in 2019, 2020, 21, stuff like that, that are on arms, right? That are going to have to get refied in
yes.
23,
Right.
24, right? 25. We get a bit of a window, right? To be able to
Yes.
like have that refinance. So I can wait until like a lease is up, have it cleaned
Oh,
out, and then have the appraiser come in.
That's good.
on that 5th year, I mean, you have to refinance by
You have to
that
refinance.
5th year. You're
By
talking about a
the
little
5th year.
before though.
Yeah,
if
I
you
can
want to
do
get
that
it,
4 and a
like 6
half.
months before. Yeah.
But don't you feel like some of the
That'd be
mortgage
better.
companies, when they do that, they question a lot of other stuff like, oh, well, where's the lease at? Why haven't they moved in? Why are the pictures of an empty room? Because I've had that happen.
Yeah, I mean,
Where
but at
they
that
had
point,
me prove the payments that they put the deposit down and that they're moving in on. such date.
yeah, I mean, I think I could still substantiate that, right? Because like you could still prove up to that end.
You can.
Yeah, and then I'm like, okay, well, I'll give myself 3 weeks
Yeah.
instead of 5 days, 7
Mhm.
days to turn a house.
Yeah.
I'll give myself 3 weeks to like have them in, clean it up, get it appraised,
Yeah.
bounce, and then new people come, and I can still substantiate with the bank accounts and. Yeah, here. Look, you can see that I sent this tenant the security deposit back. You
Yeah.
can see that I collected security deposit for the next. So like, I don't think that that'll be that big because it'll be pretty clear.
So I feel like that's different than some of like the ones I'm doing. It's typically
Like
I'll
before.
finish the rehab and then I'll get it appraised before I get the tenant in there.
Yeah.
Then I have nothing to show for the last year except for, hey, he put a deposit down.
Yeah.
So then they question a little bit more on the underwriting side than they did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so for a BRRRR,
Yep.
why is it important for a BRRRR for the appraisal to come in?
Because then it defines on how much money you get back. I mean, if you bought it for $100,000, you put 50 into it, you need it to appraise at 200 in order to get 75% to be dead even.
Yeah.
It comes back at 180. Now you're leaving $10, $15, $20,000 in it.
Yeah.
And who knows, if you borrowed that money, now you have to come out of pocket to pay them back.
And you go to the closing table.
And go to the closing table with money to pay them off.
Yeah. How are you helping increase your appraisal value? Because when you look, when you're about to buy a house, and it's for 100 in your example, right? You buy it for 100 and you look at these other comps and you're around 200 or 180, 190, right? What can you do to push that appraisal to make sure or get as close as possible to the 200?
So I think
what are some of the things that you...
For me, the new windows have been huge because when they come in, they see the new windows, they see new HVAC. That usually helps me get to that higher side because most of the houses that appraised at 200, 210 probably had new windows, new flooring, new HVAC, stuff like that, because those are the physical things the appraiser's going to see.
Yeah.
Those are the actual options. And then it's also bedrooms and stuff. Were those 210 3 beds or 2 beds in an office, or what differentiates what they were compared to what your house is?
Yeah.
So I think little things like that are going to matter.
Yeah, if you could put a wall up and add a bedroom with just put a door, assuming there's still like a little common area.
Yeah.
That's probably the greatest way, because now instead of comparing that house with other 2-bedroom houses, they're now comparing that house with other 3-bedroom houses.
Yeah.
I think on the appraisal report they add about $5,000 per extra bedroom. So just by putting a wall up, if there's space for it, you get $5,000 added to your value.
And your rent's higher too.
Yeah,
so
and
that
rent
helps with your DSCR. So.
And same thing with bathrooms. If you can add a bathroom somewhere, which also increases the rent, that also helps. Probably about, I think they don't give you as much for an extra bathroom, but like maybe $4,000. If you look on the appraisal report, they'll actually itemize like how much value they added to each little category. But to your point with the HVAC, I don't think that adds value. Having a new one versus an old one, I don't think
You don't think so?
I mean, it's not line itemed out or anything, but I mean, as long as it has HVAC, that adds value.
Okay, so I actually have
working.
I actually have an appraisal up of a house.
Nice.
It's a 2-1, and there are some comparables that they compared it to.
Oh yeah, what they add.
So
they'll all add different amounts, by the way, depending on the appraiser. But it's
square footage is a big one.
There's a little range.
Yeah. So in this case, they added $5,000 for an extra bedroom and an extra bathroom.
Oh wow,
Okay.
they gypped you.
Yeah, that's a bedroom and a bathroom. Because I'm a 2-1 and this is a 3-1.
Oh, they
So
helped
they
you then.
reduced-
No, that's just an extra bedroom then.
No, I'm a 2-bedroom, 1 bathroom.
Yeah, they're 3-1.
And this is a 3-2.
Oh,
Look,
yeah,
3-2.
3-2.
Oh,
3-2.
okay.
That's 5,000. And right here, this is a 3-1.5, and they reduced it by 2,500.
Huh. So it's only $5,000 for a bathroom and a bedroom.
Yeah, see, it's
But that's a comparable.
It's a lot of discrepancies against with the appraiser too.
And you got to realize, an appraiser, it's all about a personal opinion.
It is.
And
And if
also,
that
it's a very
appraiser comes in
objective.
and doesn't like the neighborhood, their appraisal is going to be lower just based off of their.
Or if they like you as a person, they won't knock off as much. Might be.
That really matters. so, and that matters more when you're refinancing.
Yes.
Right? Because it's your asset.
Yeah.
Like, I've refinanced with certain banks, and you can't necessarily pick. I know some people, like, some banks always have a preferred appraisal, and so that there's some benefit, especially if you start to build a relationship. But I've had some appraisers, and you've had some appraisers. We've had the same appraiser on some of them. Cool cats, and they are super fair.
Yes.
And then they'll kind of like nudge in the right direction when they need to, because they're not trying to get anybody in trouble, but they'll be like, what do you need to be at?
So I love it when they ask me that.
Where do you need to be
I
at?
love it when they ask me, because then they care. They actually
care, and they take it into account.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna be honest with them. I'm not gonna be like, if it needs to be around 230, I'm not gonna be like
275.
265 would be
Yeah.
great. You know, like, I'm gonna be realistic with them. and I'm just, hey, I need to be 230, 235, you know,
Yeah.
240 would be really good. And then they come back and they're somewhere around there.
I've
They're
ever
being
told them
really
where
fair.
every time I've told them where I need to be, it's always over. Always over.
Yeah,
As crazy
yeah.
as that is,
Yeah.
I swear I've told a couple of them like, yeah, I really need to be somewhere around 225. Comes back at 230, 235.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because that's huge. When you're borrowing or when you're refinancing
Yeah.
a rental, that's everything what that appraisal is.
That appraisal.
Nothing else means anything.
I mean, honestly, the way I look at an appraisal always is like, that's my buyer.
Yes. That's your
My buyer. I want to make sure that my buyer, they have the loan. Obviously, I'm the getting the loan, but the appraiser
Yeah.
is a person that looks at it and is like, you know what, you're right. I'll pay you $230 for that house.
Yep.
Right.
Exactly.
So I need to sell it to that buyer. I need to sell it
Yeah.
to that appraiser. And if they agree, stamp 230. You're good. I'm golden. Let's go to the finish line.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, when you're looking back and you're calculating your equity or your net worth, are you taking in fact what that appraiser says the value is, or are you deducting or adding some to that when you do it? Now, granted, this is not
Sure.
more
Yeah.
than appraiser tactic.
It's the appraisal.
Yeah. Okay.
See, for me, it's what I think I could actually sell it for.
Okay.
So my appraisers tend to come in higher than I actually think I could sell the property for. So
Oh, okay.
when I'm actually calculating net worth or whatever, I put it
So
lower.
it's
So
a
back
net
to
net worth.
Yeah,
Not
yeah,
a gross net worth.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do a gross.
Yeah.
My number's higher.
Yeah. I usually deduct 5 or 10.
Do you?
But,
Nah,
yeah. So,
Give me all
brought back
that.
on topic. I didn't mean to get thrown off. But
Give me all that.
I knew y'all would be different, so that's why I asked.
That's probably why my number.
Yeah, that's why
it's so high.
Rose has an extra $1 million of just his
Fees and agent fees and all that I have to pay. I mean, but in reality, I mean, we don't have to get into it.
I was gonna say, I took us
That's
right
another
off
topic.
topic.
That's another topic. Yeah, but okay. So another thing. So again, I'm looking at this appraisal report, and I have a few deductions. One deduction is the bedroom count, right? So it's the bedroom count, and it gives you whether it's a 3 compared to my 3-bedroom compared to my 2-bedroom, with 2 bathroom compared to my 1 bathroom, and they'll reduce it by whatever the appraiser says. But then they also reduce it, and this is something for you to consider. They also reduce it by gross living area, and they'll reduce it based on your living area. So
square
you
footage.
It's your square footage.
Yeah.
So you had made a comment. Both of you guys have made a comment about any chance you get. And there's like a screen porch. There's a whatever you can add, wherever it is that you can add square feet, and just to give our listeners a little bit of an idea of what that looks like. So the difference between my 1,038 square feet and a house that's 1,228 square feet. So mind you, that's 190 square foot difference, right? No, 208, no, 190.
Yeah, 190.
190
They're
square foot difference.
190 bigger. Wow.
They're 190 square feet bigger. It's a $16,200 difference.
That's
Wow.
big. That's like $90, $80 square foot, isn't it?
And 198, to put this into perspective.
Yeah, it's like 80.
I've never seen it that. It depends on the area, by the way, that the appraisers are appraising at. If you're more of a lower income area, they'll do like $30, $50 per square foot. I've never seen $80 per square foot. All mine are between $30. Yeah, all mine are between 30 that I've looked at and actually calculated.
Yeah.
Are between
$85
30
a
and
square
60.
So all of the ones I have are closer to the $80, $90 range.
Yeah.
So that's like, if that's not a clear indicator that,
Oh yeah.
I mean, not only are you adding a bedroom, and
Yes.
we saw how much a bedroom adds on the low end,
Yeah.
2,500 to 5,000. So not only are you adding a bedroom, but then you're also adding livable
16,000.
square feet. You could potentially add another 16,000.
Yeah, or
So that's
basement's another thing.
20,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
If
finished
it
basement
has,
or
yeah,
something.
unfinished basement to
Yeah.
finished to livable.
Yeah.
stair-
You gotta think,
But they
190
reduce that by
square
a
feet.
certain.
They do, but
They
it's,
reduce
it's,
your livable
it's
square
still a
feet.
way to do it.
That's
though.
a small bedroom. It's 190 square feet. Like that's that's an office pretty much.
Yeah. So,
That's a 10 by 10.
no,
Almost.
it's 100.
Well,
That's
yeah.
100. Yeah.
So
So,
that's a good size. 15
Yeah.
by 15 or so.
yeah, 300.
Oh, yeah.
I get what you're
300,
saying.
but yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, if you have a screen and porch, I mean that's huge.
Oh,
It's a
huge.
game changer.
Yeah.
Closing the screen porch, have an extra bedroom, you've
Yep.
added $20,000 to your
Yeah.
to your top line.
Yeah, so it's good to look for houses with those value adds that you can do. Add a bathroom,
Oh, yeah.
add a bedroom, or add square footage somehow through a screen porch or a basement.
Yeah.
It's also very important to build rapport with your appraiser.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's more of a psychological thing. You gotta feel out how your appraiser acts, what his tendencies are. If he's like one of the people that, I guess, when you start talking to him, he just kind of doesn't want to talk back to you. At that point, I kind of just leave him and do his thing. I don't try and like sit there and be like, hey, yeah, we did this, we did all this. I do try and tell them at first, but then you kind of got to feel how they react.
Yeah, because you could easily at that point just be like, get to the point, you just be like, all right, so we did this, this, and this.
Yeah.
Would you like me to email you the stuff that we did?
Yeah.
And usually they'll be like, yeah, because it doesn't take up any of their time. If they want to review it, they review it. If they don't, but they have the information there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think they just like to see that you care, or if they do see that you care and are worried about it, I think they usually try and help you a little bit or try and get you to that level you want. Another thing you can do is bring comps, which is what I tend to do. You have a realtor do it. Or if you're not a realtor yourself, maybe go through Zillow, I guess. But I would try and get a realtor to do it.
Yeah.
And just
bring
give
them
it to
MLS comps. And
Yeah.
it goes a long ways.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you ever had an appraiser that was just a complete, I don't know, snooty person and just came in and didn't want to hear anything you had to say, just straight up wanted to measure everything, look at everything to the nines? Because I had one guy, he came into 2 of my houses. I did appraiser by the same guy. He was the same appraiser, and he came in and gave me the worst appraisals I've ever gotten. He didn't want to talk to me, no nothing. He just came in there, based it off of the neighborhood, because down the street was a little crappy side of the neighborhood, and no joke, gave me $30,000 less than what it should have been.
Wow.
Yeah.
You can, now,
You can fight it.
that sucks. You can fight it,
Yeah.
and fighting it usually doesn't get you anywhere.
So that's the
Yeah.
problem. You're
I
paying
have done
another
it before where
$600.
they changed it though.
Oh, they did?
Yeah.
No kidding.
How much did it change it by?
They changed it from like 76 to 90.
Oh, that's a
Really?
big
That's
jump.
15,000. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's a big jump.
That's good.
Now, I've heard, most of the stories I've heard about trying to fight appraisals, it doesn't move at all.
Doesn't move at all.
Like, you're better off just finding another bank.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
start
and
over.
usually you have to change lenders. if
But
that's the
then
case.
at that point, you're already through this 30, 40 day process.
Yeah.
It's not even worth it.
Yeah.
Because that's where I was. I was
But if
already
it's
through
being
it.
rented, then like, and you have private money or hard money,
So that was the
can
problem,
usually-
is I had hard money to where my interest was just stacking up. So if I went through another 30 or 45 day process, I was going to spend more on hard money and have to pay another $600 appraiser. It wasn't worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, so
Any other nuggets that you got for appraisals?
it matters. That's about
It
it.
matters.
It matters.
Yeah.
Either way, whether you're selling or you're refinancing. It
Yeah.
matters.
That's the, at the end of the day, I think that inspections are really important,
Yeah.
but like an appraisal
Yeah.
rock you.
Can rock you. Yeah.
Yeah, and sometimes it feels like for no reason.
Yeah. And now a lot of our listeners are newly into real estate. The last 2 years don't count because people were paying over appraisal values, all of that. That's ending. That's done.
Yeah.
If it's already not already done.
Yeah,
already.
yeah.
So, I don't know.
Yeah.
You any more nuggets?
Yeah, that's about it. Just try and build as much rapport as you can. Oh, another thing that I do sometimes is if I look for them on Facebook, the appraiser, just to
Really?
see their interest.
Oh, that's cool.
So sometimes you could just try and like.
Don't wear a fishing shirt.
Yeah, exactly.
Like a fisher.
You've been down the James River lately?
I call this big bass, you fish? Yeah, I love fishing.
It's true, though.
Yeah, I mean, same thing with like anything
So they
business
tell
with
you
buyers.
who the appraiser is coming out?
Yeah, my appraiser usually emails me with their
They
credentials.
They do. It'll be a call, or it'll be like,
Yeah.
hey, is there a lockbox or
Really?
whatever?
Yeah.
Oh, mine didn't do that either one.
Well, how do you know when to meet them? What do you mean?
It was all through email. The lender emailed me and said, "Hey, the appraiser's going to be at this time."
Oh, the appraiser doesn't email
Oh,
you?
really?
No.
They don't CC the.
But that was only one time, and those were the 2 bad appraisals that I ever got.
Oh, maybe they didn't know.
So maybe it was just weird, yeah.
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 So,
But
It matters.
it does.
make sure to subscribe, everybody.
Yes.
Make sure you
Notification bell.
hit that like button.
Like.
A little tap of the button.
And comments. If you have any comments or anything you'd like to add, put them in there.
Or
We'd love to
questions.
talk about them on the next
More questions.
episode.
Yeah.
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 Well, if there's nothing else, I
That's
guess
right.
that's Generation H.